Hey girls, so welcome back to my channel, Chen Yang here, and I hope you guys are all doing well. So if you've been following my Instagram, you probably know that I have been away for the past week, hence why I hope I am looking slightly more tan. But I'm now back in London, so back to my usual routine, back to my usual work, and I thought I would come in here to just give you guys some tips on meal prepping today, because having worked with a lot of girls and spoken to a lot of you, one common thing that does come up is you struggling to actually plan in advance your meals. You know, one day you're caught out and you didn't have time in the morning to actually pack your lunch, so you ended up going out for lunch, and then it kind of becomes a downward spiral because you just don't actually manage to find that time during the week to have your meals prepped in advance, because you know, most of you girls are very busy. You either work or you study or you do both, and you know, you have a lot going on in your lives, so it is, you know, completely natural for you to sometimes feel like you just don't have time to get everything prepared, right? So I just want to give you guys my top 5 tips, and top 5 tips that have really helped my girls as well, my clients, essentially make sure that they do stay on track with their meals while still living a very hectic and busy life. And with these tips, you'll find that once you start executing them, you'll actually save yourself a lot of time, because most of it does just come down to time management, organizing and preparing in advance. And when you can do that, you'll actually squeeze out a lot of time for yourself. So yeah, let's get into it. So number 1 would be, I would have a list of, you know, my favorite carbs, proteins and fats. So write that down at the start of the week, and then essentially these 3 macronutrients are what are going to add up to your total calorie intake for the day. And then once you have those staple, you know, macronutrient sources, all it is just adding those together and creating meals. So you can kind of see it as like a buffet, right? So you have 3 main options, and under each category you have all these different options, right? So for carbs, perhaps you could have rice, pasta, bagels and potatoes. So those could be your 4 staple sources. Perhaps proteins could be chicken, beef, fish, or any vegan alternatives. And then for your fats, it could be, say, pesto, hummus, nut butter, dark chocolate. So just having those listed out really will help you during the week to just, you know, mix and match everything together, so that every meal you create does have one source of macronutrient there, and it is a complete meal there. Tip number 2 would be, dedicate a specific day or 2 towards meal prepping and actually schedule it into your diary. So this is another thing. I think, you know, often people are like, oh yeah, I'll just meal prep on Sunday, or oh, I'll meal prep on, you know, Wednesday or Thursday. But if you don't set out an actual time to do it, most likely you're going to get caught up into something else and you'll completely forget about it, and then it'll be Monday and you're going to be like, oh my god, whoops, I completely forgot to meal prep, right? So every time I say, when you set yourself a goal or a task, make sure it is measurable. So make sure that you do have a set time. And what I would say is, put it into your Google Calendar. So this is something else I tell my girls. So yes, if they tell me they want to meal prep, I ask them, okay, what day and what time? Okay, because unless you have that written down, you won't stay accountable to it. And if something pops up, you're going to neglect your meal prep. So go into your Google Calendar, and perhaps every Sunday night, 8 p.m. or something, you know, just after dinner, you dedicate that half an hour to meal prepping, and you get all your veggies prepped, all your carbs, all your proteins prepped for Monday to Wednesday. And then what I would suggest is then having Wednesday evening as your second meal prep day, because typically, you know, I don't think most meals are going to last for a whole week, right? If you batch cook like an insane amount and just leave it in your fridge, I think it is nice still having fresh meals. So Wednesday night, do the same thing. You don't actually have to put the meals together, but you could have, you know, in Tupperware, all your carbohydrates cooked and ready to go, your protein sources ready to go, and then your fat sources could just be added on the day. So if you want to add like a dollop pesto or hummus on the day, that's super simple and easy to do, and it takes like 1 second. Now, my 3rd tip would be multitask, okay? So girls, we're good at this, so this is something that should come naturally, but use different kitchen appliances. So one thing that I think is going to save you so much time is using the oven. So perhaps putting all your veggies and roasting them in the oven, getting your protein sources, so say chicken, into the oven as well, and then you could use the stove to cook your rice, your pasta, or your potatoes, or anything else. So again, just making use of everything you do have in the kitchen so that you can cook everything all at once, and then, you know, after 15-20 minutes, your vegetables are roasted, your chicken's ready, your rice is ready, and it's just a matter of letting it cool down, putting it into Tupperware, and then just chucking it in the fridge. So definitely just trying to see what appliances you do have, different methods of cooking. Perhaps you could write it down, you know, roasting, baking, boiling, microwaving. Even if you have frozen veggies, that's super simple and quick. Just getting frozen vegetables, popping in the microwave, boom, 5 minutes, not even 5 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes, it's ready. So definitely just making use of everything you do have at home. So that would be my third tip. Now, my fourth tip is about creating more variety. So one thing I do realize, especially if you are a foodie, is that, you know, sometimes meal prepping can seem almost boring because you're eating these same meals every day, but it really is about changing your mindset and perspective, right? Like, you could go into it being like, oh, this is such a struggle, like I have to eat the same proteins or carbs every day because I meal prep this, right? Like, oh, meal prep is so boring, I want to have something different every day. You can still have a lot of variety even when you are meal prepping. Even with the exact same ingredients or food list, you can make so many different variations. It really is just about being more, you know, solution focused and creative. So for example, you could batch prepare all your carbs and say your proteins, right? But don't season them yet, okay? So leave them in the fridge, and then on the day or just before you put them into your meal prep Tupperware, try different seasonings. So perhaps if you say prep chicken in advance, you could have pesto chicken, you could have, you know, perhaps soy sauce on chicken, teriyaki chicken. So a lot of different things, garlic chicken, so many different ways that you could season it so that it's a completely different meal. Same with your carbohydrates. If you have prepped rice and pasta in advance, for example, one day you could have pasta and chicken, so pesto chicken pasta, right? The next day you could have maybe like cheese and chicken and pasta. The third day you could use your rice with chicken and use soy sauce, so it's more of like an Asian stir fry. So there are a lot of different ways where you can literally use the same protein source and same carbohydrate source and completely change the meal and the cuisine and the flavor. So what I would say is, you know, don't perhaps season anything in advance too much, and then when you are putting things into Tupperware, just decide what you kind of feel like, and then just add the sauces or the, you know, spices on top afterwards. And what I do say to most people is, like, if you are using low calorie sauces, like to all my girls I say, if you're using low calorie sauces, herbs and spices, you really don't have to measure it unless you are being like at least you're pouring the whole bottle of like lighter ketchup into your Tupperware. A squirt or two is not going to be, you know, a make or break to your goals and to your diet, as long as you are consistent. So yeah, like, don't put a whole bottle of soy sauce in. Like, obviously those calories are going to add up, but if you just add a dash, enough to flavor your food, it really isn't going to be that significant there. So that is my fourth tip in terms of just creating more variety and making sure you are still enjoying all your meals, although you are prepping in advance, and still sticking to, you know, staple sources of your macronutrients. Now finally, the last tip. Okay, so invest in good Tupperware, okay? The amount of times that I at uni had really crappy Tupperware, and then my food would just leak, and I would wonder why it was leaking, but you know, it was pretty obvious to me that I just had really flimsy Tupperware. So definitely go on Amazon, have a search, and look for good proper Tupperware that is leak proof, that actually keeps your food inside the Tupperware. And one thing I would say is, if you are, you know, meal prepping in advance and you're keeping your different macronutrients, you know, your proteins and your carbs in the fridge, perhaps go for glass Tupperware. I just do find it's easier to clean, especially if you do have any oils or any kind of flavorings and spices. It doesn't keep the flavor in, whereas, you know, plastic Tupperware does sometimes hold on to that flavor or that smell. So I think it is nice just having glass Tupperware in your fridge to store everything. But obviously when you are on the go, you don't really want to be carrying glass around, so then go for like silicone Tupperware, anything that is very sturdy. So yeah, so those are my 5 top tips. I hope that this was helpful, because I do understand that sometimes when you are starting out your fitness journey, these small things can be very confusing sometimes, and it can be very easy just to put you off the whole process, because, you know, anything at the start is difficult, and it can be challenging, but once you get into a routine, once you kind of do it a few times, so you learn through practice. And I'm gonna say, like, when I first started meal prepping, I was so confused. Like, I found it such a struggle. I didn't know how much to cook. I didn't know like how long it should take. I was wondering why I was taking so long. I was cooking everything separately, and honestly, after 2 hours I would be like, honestly, like, I was in a state. I would be in my kitchen like, holy crap, like, that was so much effort. It would just actually save me time if I cooked on the day. But over time, you learn these small tips, right? You realize you can batch cook in advance and use different appliances all at once. You learn how to multitask better. You understand that you don't have to stick to the exact same foods and meals every day. You can use different sauces and seasonings. And you also find those staple meals that you just really love, so that every week you just want to make the same thing because you just really do enjoy it. So it does take time. Give yourself patience. Like, don't expect yourself to be a master at meal prepping and just being super efficient and super on point like at the start of your fitness journey. It is a journey for a reason, right? And the longer you stay within it, the better you get. So it really is about just giving yourself patience and enjoying the process. Like, it's super cool if you think about it. We as humans have created all these different kind of things that help us excel in life and just be better at doing what we're doing, right? Being better versions of ourselves. And I think that's so awesome. Like, who was the first person who was like, I'm going to meal prep, right? And track my macros. Like, that is super cool. So change your perspective and your approach to it. Don't think it's, you know, a nuisance or effort. Think of it as a way to find out what foods you enjoy, different meal combinations, different flavors, and just have fun with it whilst knowing that it is helping you to reach your goals. So I hope that this was helpful, and if it was, let me know which tip you're going to be trying out or which tips you have found beneficial in your journey. And I would absolutely love to hear what other things you guys would find beneficial. So any type of content, any informative content and tips, just let me know down in the comments, because I just really want to, you know, make this fitness journey as easy and as much of a breeze as possible for you girls, because it really shouldn't be as hard as sometimes it feels at the start. So yeah, let me know if I can provide you anything else that will be helpful. And other than that, make sure you do like this video and turn on my notifications bell, your notifications bell, so that you don't miss another video from me. And other than that, I will see you guys in the next video, and I do have some exciting announcements soon, so yeah, keep tuned for that. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.